President-elect Trump has issued a stern warning to the BRICS nations, demanding they provide guarantees to prevent any alternative currency from challenging the dominance of the US dollar. Trump reiterated his commitment to ensuring the dollar remains the world's primary global reserve currency and threatened severe economic consequences, including 100% tariffs, on any country attempting to undermine its supremacy. For decades, the US dollar has held a commanding position in global commerce, serving as the main reserve currency. This status has granted the US significant economic advantages, including the ability to borrow at lower costs and implement effective financial sanctions. However, in recent years, there has been a growing push by countries, particularly within the BRICS alliance, to create alternative systems for international trade and reduce reliance on the dollar. Russia, for example, has strongly supported the development of a BRICS payment system designed to facilitate transactions in local currencies, bypassing the US-centric financial structure. Trump's tough message signals that the US is aware of the increasing momentum behind these dollarization efforts. He emphasizes concerns that a widespread shift away from the dollar could erode its global dominance, potentially destabilizing the US economy. If major economies successfully transition to other currencies or establish a credible competitor to the dollar, the US could face consequences such as reduced demand for US Treasury bonds, higher borrowing costs, and a loss of geopolitical influence. A rapid departure from the dollar would signal a major shift in the international financial system, undermining America's ability to exercise economic power. The potential ramifications of such a change would be far-reaching for global trade, finance, and diplomacy, making this issue a key focus for economists and policymakers. Let's begin by examining the current trends in dollarization. BRICS members have been increasingly using their own currencies for trade, reducing reliance on the US dollar. This move is driven by both political and economic factors. In early 2023, China and Brazil, the two largest economies in the BRICS bloc, agreed to conduct their trade in their respective currencies, the Chinese yuan, CNY, and the Brazilian real, BRL. This shift eliminates the need for the US dollar as an intermediary, improving trade efficiency and reducing exchange rate volatility for businesses in both countries. In 2022, trade between China and Brazil reached approximately $50 billion, with China being Brazil's top trading partner. By using local currencies, both nations aim to reduce transaction costs and enhance their financial independence. Iran and Russia have also made significant progress in integrating their financial systems to boost bilateral trade and bypass Western sanctions. Their partnership includes linking national payment networks and jointly accepting bank cards, strengthening their economic ties. In early 2023, Iran and Russia connected their banking systems, allowing Iranian banks to access Russian financial institutions and over 100 banks in 13 other countries through Russia's SPFS system, a substitute for SWIFT. This integration enables the issuance of letters of credit, transfers, and guarantees without relying on SWIFT, thus minimizing the impact of Western sanctions. On July 6, 2024, Iran's central bank announced the integration of its Shitab interbank network with Russia's Mir payment infrastructure, enabling the use of Mir cards in Iran and simplifying transactions for Russian tourists and businesses operating in the country. This move aims to reduce reliance on Western financial systems and promote bilateral trade. By November 2024, Iran and Russia advanced their financial integration further, allowing Iranian bank cards to be used in Russia, making it easier for Iranians to process payments and withdraw cash abroad, deepening the commercial ties between the two economies. India and Russia have also embraced local currencies for trade, especially in the energy sector. Following the imposition of Western sanctions on Russia in 2022, both countries increased the use of the Indian rupee and the Russian ruble for transactions. Russia became India's main supplier of crude oil in 2023, with a significant portion of those purchases being made in Indian rupees. This arrangement allows the two nations to bypass dollar-based payment systems, shielding them from external economic pressures. South Africa, the smallest BRICS member and its economic shifts. South Africa, the smallest BRICS member by economic size, has shown a growing tendency to settle a larger share of its trade in local currencies. While China remains South Africa's largest trading partner, with bilateral trade surpassing $50 billion in 2023, South Africa has increasingly turned to alternative payment methods to facilitate imports, particularly machinery and electronics. This shift effectively reduces its reliance on the US dollar, while simultaneously enhancing liquidity in African markets. BRICS Pay, a decentralized payment infrastructure. BRICS Pay, launched in 2018 by the BRICS Business Council, represents a significant step toward reducing dependence on Western-dominated financial systems, such as SWIFT. The system enables seamless cross-border transactions using local currencies, thus enhancing the economic sovereignty of member countries. It is designed to integrate existing national payment systems, including Russia's MIR network, India's Unified Payment Interface, UPI, and China's Union Pay, for efficient cross-border payments. This effort is not solely about insulating national economies from external shocks. It is also about sending a clear and resolute message that the world is witnessing a fundamental shift toward a more multicentric global monetary order. The growing accumulation of gold by countries around the world is not just a safeguard against financial volatility, but also a deliberate strategy to assert economic independence. By stockpiling gold, nations are taking active steps to develop financial systems that can operate beyond the influence of traditional Western-dominated frameworks. At the heart of these movements lies a unified vision for financial resilience. This vision encompasses a broad range of strategies, including the expansion of gold reserves and the implementation of initiatives such as BRICS Pay. These efforts reflect the BRICS bloc's commitment to building a robust, self-sufficient financial ecosystem that operates outside of Western economic spheres of influence. The combined strategies of gold accumulation and innovative payment systems aim to create a financial framework that can withstand the growing instability in global markets. These measures also aim to reduce reliance on conventional financial systems, such as the US dollar and institutions that are primarily controlled by the West. By aligning their collective efforts around gold reserves and decentralized payment infrastructures, the BRICS nations are laying the foundation for a financial order that emphasizes stability, independence, and equitable participation in the global economic arena. This effort is particularly crucial in the face of dollarization, the ongoing trend in which countries are actively moving away from the US dollar in global trade and finance. This shift is driven by several critical factors, with the most pressing being the desire to safeguard economic sovereignty and stability. The dominance of the US dollar has long granted the United States a unique degree of influence over the global economy. Its monetary policies often result in volatility in other nations' economies, particularly in times of uncertainty. By distancing themselves from the dollar, countries aim to reclaim their policy autonomy and reduce their vulnerability to external economic shocks. Furthermore, relying heavily on the US dollar leaves countries exposed to the threat of US sanctions, which can hinder their access to the global financial system. Nations like Russia and China, for instance, have pursued alternative strategies to safeguard their economic independence and protect themselves from such restrictions. Reserve diversification is another key motivator driving this shift. Central banks around the world have traditionally held significant portions of their reserves in US dollars. However, there is an increasing trend toward diversifying these reserves into a mix of currencies and even gold. This approach spreads financial risks and reduces the grip that the dollar holds over global financial systems. Political and strategic elements also play a significant role in this growing trend. Countries like China and Russia are keen to counterbalance the influence of the United States by promoting the use of their own currencies in international trade. This effort is part of a broader vision for a multipolar global financial landscape, one in which the dominance of the US dollar is significantly reduced. In addition to these broader strategic goals, regional economic deals are increasingly being used to settle transactions in local currencies, bypassing the need for the US dollar altogether. For example, the agreement between China and Brazil to conduct trade in their respective local currencies eliminates the need for currency conversions, thereby reducing costs and challenges associated with dollar-based transactions. Finally, the drive toward dollarization reflects the shifting economic realities of the global landscape. As emerging markets grow and solidify their positions in world trade, they naturally seek to bolster the use of their own currencies, reflecting their growing economic influence and strengthening their financial networks. Collectively, these elements underscore the diverse and calculated motivations behind the global push toward reducing dependence on the US dollar. Turning to the rhetoric surrounding the shift, former President Donald Trump has been outspoken in warning BRICS nations about moving away from the US dollar. On social media, Trump emphasized that the United States would not tolerate any effort to create or endorse a rival currency to the dollar. He warned that any country pursuing such a strategy would face harsh economic consequences, including the imposition of punitive tariffs, and would be cut off from the vast US market. This warning reflects Trump's long-standing commitment to preserving the hegemony of the US dollar in global trade. Throughout his political career, particularly on the campaign trail, Trump has repeatedly vowed to make it economically unfeasible for any country to reduce its reliance on the US dollar. His recent comments have escalated tensions as the world approaches his potential second term in office. Trump's threats are consistent with his previous use of tariffs as a strategic tool to safeguard US economic interests. The Trump administration has already proposed several punitive measures in response to efforts by other countries to reduce their reliance on the dollar. Among these are limitations on exports, the designation of certain countries as currency manipulators, and additional trade duties on nations engaging in non-dollar bilateral trade. These proposals reflect Trump's broader approach to preserving the US dollar's dominance in international trade. The intensifying debate over dollarization reached new heights following the BRICS summit in 2023, where the group discussed measures to reduce dependence on the US dollar. The momentum for an alternative currency system began building in 2022, when sanctions imposed by the United States on Russia fueled global resentment over the dollar's monopoly in global trade. Trump's administration has responded by emphasizing the importance of maintaining the dollar's role in global trade and issuing stern warnings to countries considering alternative economic alliances. Trump's policies have already made waves in international financial markets, as his administration has signaled that it is prepared to impose expanded tariffs on major trading partners. For example, he previously proposed a 10% tariff on Chinese imports and a 25% levy on goods from Mexico and Canada, unless those governments took stronger action on issues such as drug trafficking and immigration. These aggressive stances illustrate his willingness to use economic leverage to further his domestic and foreign policy agendas. As Trump prepares for his second term in office, it is clear that his forceful economic policies will play a central role in shaping international trade and diplomacy. His firm stance against the potential erosion of the US dollar's dominance signals that the financial landscape of the future will be heavily influenced by these decisions. In conclusion, the BRICS nations' push to develop a new payment system and potentially introduce an alternative currency has sent shockwaves through the Western financial system. These efforts represent a concerted effort to challenge the dominance of the US dollar as the world's primary reserve currency. By creating an alternative financial infrastructure and reducing reliance on dollar-denominated trade, the BRICS nations are reshaping the global economic order in favor of a more multipolar approach. This strategic shift has left the United States deeply unsettled, as the dollar's status as the global reserve currency has long provided the U.S. economy with significant advantages, including lower borrowing costs and substantial leverage in international markets. Under the Trump administration, these developments have raised alarms about the potential erosion of America's economic influence. Trump has openly expressed concern that the coordinated efforts of BRICS could undermine the foundation of U.S. financial dominance, putting the American economy at risk. In response, Trump has ramped up his rhetoric against nations in the global south, warning them of the potential consequences of aligning with the BRICS bloc. His administration has underscored the possible costs of undermining dollar hegemony, including strained economic relations with the United States. However, for many nations, the promise of a more equitable and independent financial order may outweigh these threats. This moment marks a pivotal shift in the global economic power structure, with the BRICS initiative representing not just a challenge to the dollar, but also a broader assertion of sovereignty and a call for a fairer distribution of economic power in the 21st century. Thank you for watching this video. We greatly appreciate your time and attention. If you found this content insightful or inspiring, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel to stay updated on future discussions. Your support is immensely valuable to us. You can also explore other videos from our channel, which are currently available on the screen.